A powerful committee of MPs is set to investigate whether Craig Thomson misled Parliament during yesterday's dramatic plea of innocence. And there are further moves for the whole of the House of Representatives to censure the former Labor MP for bringing it into disrepute. A key independent ally is also calling for Julia Gillard to explain when and how the Thomson matter will be brought before a court. Political correspondent Tom Eagleton reports from Canberra.
Julia Gillard's been in America talking about the war in Afghanistan, but tomorrow she'll fly home and onto another battlefield after one of the most dramatic addresses in parliamentary history.
Mr Thomson's frankly, utterly implausible statement in the Parliament yesterday.
It reminds me, in fact, of the words of Jack Palance from Ripley's Believe It or Not, Mr Acting Deputy Speaker, believe it or not. And the opposition does not believe it.
But the government says it's an unbiased court, not politicians, which should decide whether Mr Thomson's defence is believable. Wayne Swan says the opposition's tactics are proof Tony Abbott's not ready to be Prime Minister.
He wants to tear down the very pillars of our democracy. He wants to tear down the rule of law for political gain. And I tell you what, that's not leadership, that is weakness and that is cowardice.
But not all of the opposition's attack focused on Craig Thomson's credibility. Yesterday, the embattled MP attacked his accusers, saying Fair Work Australia's report was biased and suggesting a link between a senior official there and the leader of the opposition.
Sure, I appointed Michael Lawler to the Industrial Relations Commission a dozen years back, or whenever it was, but he's now a senior officer of Fair Work Australia, which is Julia Gillard's creation.
And the opposition's pushing the government on where it stands on Craig Thomson's questions about the industrial umpire's impartiality.
Has the minister asked his department to investigate the member for Dobell's claim that the Deputy President of Fair Work Australia, Mr Michael Lawler, interfered in the Fair Work Australia inquiry into Health Services Union?
Does the minister have full confidence in the work of Mr Terry Nassios, the principal investigator for Fair Work Australia?
But the government dodged those questions, focusing instead on the opposition's attacks directly on Mr Thomson.
It is time for those opposite to stop engaging in the personal destruction of people. It is time for those opposite to raise their voice, not in some sort of swamp of self-righteousness. It is time for those opposite to stand up and raise.
But one of the government's key allies on the crossbench says the opposition's questions are on the right track.
In my view, the weight of evidence is with the Fair Work Australia report, and progress should be expected and encouraged on those findings.
Mr Oakeshot's demanding the Prime Minister outline when and how legal action against Mr Thomson will begin, and he's planning on moving a motion to censure him for bringing the House into disrepute.
It has taken so long for facts to be put on the table by both Fair Work Australia and the member for Dobell. That delay in establishing the facts has done damage to the Parliament itself.
There was initial support from some on the crossbench.
I am pleased to have seconded the member for Lyons' motion.
But momentum has already stalled.
I have, since this afternoon, just mid-afternoon, had the opportunity to take senior legal advice, and I'm now of the view that I shouldn't support that censure.
And so the question of how Parliament will deal with Mr Thomson is now in the hands of the House Privileges Committee, after the opposition tonight moved a motion.
Charging a member with misleading the House is one of the most serious charges that anyone can make of either opposition or government. I don't do it lightly. I do believe that the Privileges Committee is the correct forum to determine this matter.
Sideline Speaker Peter Slipper refused to send Mr Thomson's case to the committee, citing a need to stay impartial, but the government's backed the opposition's push to send it there anyway.
I'm confident that the Committee of Privileges will also consider these matters separate from partisan politics, and I would certainly encourage the members to do so.
We're in uncharted waters here. Usually the Speaker has the final word on what gets referred to the committee. Never before has the House voted to overrule them. But the government feels it's on pretty safe ground here. It's got the numbers in the committee and it's confident it won't find that Craig Thomson deliberately misled Parliament. In the unlikely event it does, government sources say there's no real way it can punish him. Tom Eagleton, Lateline.